decision and there has not been any communication with the public, then I do not expect the member to answer it. If the chair, though, has had, because the question didn't ask whether the committee had made a decision to do something, because that would have been out of order. The member asked whether the chair had invited a submission or a further submission or something along those lines. We're not remembering exact detail, and maybe the question needs to be repeated so that everyone can hear it. But what I'm indicating is if the chair has taken action as the chair and sent a letter to someone, I believe that is in order to answer that. I'm not expecting the member to answer something if he's considering or the committee's considering some course of action, then I'm not asking the member to answer that. But if the chair has taken an action to write a letter to someone inviting a submission, then I believe that is in order to answer that. I'll hear the Acting Leader of the House, Honourable John Carter.
Mr. Speaker, just listening to this exchange, sir, I sense that the problem that the House now has is that there is information that the Select Committee has that isn't privy or the House is not aware of, and that they may have made some decision in the context of whatever that information is, that at this stage it was quite apparent that the chairman is not feeling that he is able to advise the House of until he reports. And, sir, why I get to my feet is to just ask this, that I think we may be getting to a very difficult area here, in that while your ruling you have made may be appropriate, again, we won't know until we know all the circumstances. And I wonder, sir, whether in this instance we may not be better to just ask you to give a considered ruling rather than a direction at this stage, so that we can get all the facts, or you as Speaker can actually get all the facts, sir, and then make an appropriate ruling, because I do worry that it may be that, well, on the surface the ruling you've made would apparently be quite an appropriate one. There may be other factors that you and I, sir, in the House are unaware of, that the chairman would feel it is putting him in a difficult position. And I would doubt very much whether you or this House would want to do that to any chairman of a Select Committee. And I just urge caution as we move forward on this position, given that we've had this issue before this Parliament for many years.
Order. I think we've taken quite sufficient time on considering the issue of order. The issue of order is pretty clear. The Speaker is not interested in the detail because the Speaker's got no right to be involved in the detail. The issue is one of the standing orders. Now, with respect to the question, the Chair of the Committee could say the Committee has made a decision for a certain course of action. I don't intend to divulge that to the House. And that would be a perfectly acceptable answer. Chairs of committees are perfectly capable. They're grown-up people. They're perfectly capable of answering questions in this House, or they shouldn't be chairs of committees. And if that's the situation, that can't be pursued further. The chair, though, of a committee is empowered to call for submissions. The chair doesn't need the approval of the committee to call for submissions. The chair can call for submissions and can be asked whether he has in this House. The chair can be asked whether they've called for submissions. The question, and I want to make it clear, the only part of this question that the chair, I feel, needs to answer, and the answer may be is up to the chair, depending on what went on in the committee, and I don't want to know that. But if the chair has taken action to invite a submission or a further submission that is not necessarily, which is not a decision of the committee, then the chair should answer the question. If it is a matter that was a decision of the committee, then it cannot be pursued further until the committee has reported. But the chair is answerable for the chair's actions, and the chair does have authority over the calling of submissions. So I make that clear. If the committee made a decision to call for further submissions and the member wishes to advise the House that, then that's the end of the matter. It can't be pursued further. If the member has, as chair, written to someone inviting a further submission, then that is a legitimate matter to be answered under the standing orders. David Bennett. Point of order, David Bennett.
The difficulty is, Mr. Speaker, that in many cases the chair may be acting on behalf or in respect of a decision of the committee. And if you term the question in the way that Mr Mallard has, it is effectively by asking the chair, you are in essence asking what the committee decision has been.
Order. I thought I made myself perfectly clear. If the matter was the subject of a decision of the committee, the chair only need tell the House that, and that's the end of it. Doesn't need to answer the question, because the decisions of the committee are not matters that the chair can be questioned on prior to reporting back. However, the chair's actions, independently to call for submissions, is a matter that if the chair has acted without a decision of the committee to call for submissions, the chair can be questioned on that, because often the chair in the House, the chairs are asked, have they called for submissions, or have submissions been called for on a certain bill? So if the matter was the subject of a decision of the committee, the chair only needs to tell the House that certain action was taken in response to a decision of the committee, and that's the end of the matter, and doesn't even need to detail what action it was. If the question was the subject of a decision of the committee, that's the end of the matter. I invite David Bennett to answer the question.
In this case, the subject of the decision was a matter of the full committee, so there's no more to be said.
I appreciate the answer. That brings